Hi friends, I am Rijo Joseph and welcome to our channel. Before we begin with today's topic, I request you all to please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for further notifications. If you are really liking the content that we are creating, we request you all to share it with your family and friends too. Let's get into the topic. What is 80-20 rule? Well, the 80-20 rule is also known as Pareto's principle, which speaks that 80% of the outcome or the output is the result of 20% of your efforts and the input that you give to any event. Well, the 80-20 rule is majorly used in business and economics, but it can be used in any sphere of life, like personal financing, budgeting the house, eating habits, or even the academics. All of us have used this 80-20 rule in one way or the other, knowingly or unknowingly in our lives. Just to give an example, do you remember the days when we used to be students and we never used to study for the whole year, but just before the final exam, we used to sit to study for at least 20 to 30 days. This is the effect of 80-20 rule, that you're using 20% of the time that you have to study to create 80% of the marks that you are going to get. This is a direct application of 80-20 rule. Now let's understand what is the core principle of 80-20 rule. At its core, this principle talks about identifying the best possible assets of any entity and using it effectively to bring about the best possible outcome or the result. For example, a student, when he is preparing a subject like history, for that matter of fact, he should identify which chapters are going to fetch him the maximum scores and prepare those chapters to the best of his ability. That does not mean that the 80% of other chapters he should be neglecting, because those 80% are also very, very important. While talking about its origin, the 80-20 rule is also known as Pareto's principle, as it is used in Pareto's analysis. It was used for the first time in macroeconomics to make us understand the wealth distribution in Italy in the 20th century. It was introduced in 1906 by Italian economist Mr. Vilfredo Pareto, who is also known for Pareto's efficiency techniques. Mr. Pareto noticed that 20% of the pea pods in his garden were responsible for 80% peas that he had got. He applied this principle into macroeconomics and explained that 80% of the wealth in Italy was possessed by 20% people of Italy. In the 1940s, Dr. Joseph Juran, a prominent figure in the business administration and operations, applied this principle of 80-20 rule in quality control in business production. And therefore, he came out with an observation that said that 80% of the output or 80% of the production was distorted or was defected just because of the 20% production problems. So he said, if 20% production problem could be controlled, we can scale the product efficiency by 80%. That was an apt utilization of 80-20 rule in first of its time. Dr. Joseph Juran referred to this phenomena as the vital few and the trivial many. Now let's discuss how does 80-20 principle or 80-20 rule work. Technically speaking, 80-20 rule can be named as a cause and effect phenomena. That 80% of the result or the outcome is the effect of 20% of the input or the effort taken. Well, in this case, if we apply it to the sales business, we can always say that a company's growth, 80% of the company's growth is always by 20% of its client. That does not mean the other 80% is not important. But we can work upon the interest of those 20% of employees or customers, and we can bring in more products which are appealing to those 20% of the customers, so that the scalability of the business increases over the time. Now, let's talk about some misinterpretations of this 80-20 rule. Many a times people may not be even aware that 80-20 rule is just a precept and not a concrete mathematical formula. Secondly, The percentage may not always add up to 100% because the inputs and the outputs are different entities or different units, and the percentage of all of them may not add up to 100. It may go above, beyond that, or it may be just below that. But what we need to understand is the applicability of this rule. There's another way that 80-20 rule can be misinterpreted. Whenever we say that 20% is more important, 20% of the events or 20% of the inputs are more important, we may feel, or most of us may feel, that 80% can be neglected. No, that's not the case. That's not the case actually. All in all, I wish to say is that 80-20 rule should be applied in such a way that to maximize the results of whatever you are doing. You should focus on 20% that is giving you maximum 80% of the result. But eventually, 80% of other inputs should also be recognized. They should also be taken care of. At last, here are a few steps to apply 80-20 principle. Number 1, identify all your weekly, daily and monthly tasks. Number 2, out of those, identify and sort out the most important tasks. Number 3, find out which are the tasks that are giving you the maximum output or the maximum return, and which are the tasks which are not giving you the maximum return or the maximum output. Number 4, brainstorm and create an idea either to reduce those ideas or those tasks which are not giving you the return, or to convert those tasks into the task which is giving you maximum returns. So by this, what we are able to do is, when we apply this 80-20 rule into every kind of work, we are able to focus more onto what is giving us or what is increasing our productivity, what is scaling our product, what efforts are scaling our products, what efforts are increasing our sales. So on this note, I end this video here, guys. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.